Test. was going to love it if anybody had worked his way, right? You can't really say nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, we started sifting those people. When does it stop? I said, we might as well take a bit from here. And legally, obviously, they're not even listening.
Good evening. I'm calling to order the August 8th, 2023 Fountain City Council agenda, the meeting. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could please have our explorers come down and lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin the roll call, the train has apparently decided to park right over here, and so Ohio and Comanche are blocked. We do have some presenters that are stuck just on the other side of the track, so we may be rearranging our agenda here kind of on the fly so that those people have time to get here. So, Madam Clerk, could you please go ahead with the roll call?
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Estes.
Here.
Councilmember Hinton.
Here.
Councilmember Corey.
Here.
Councilmember Rick.
Here.
Councilmember Applegate.
Here.
Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
All 7 members present.
Thank you very much. So the first item on their Homefront Military Network, we will delay that because they're stuck. And that also makes us delay the proclamation for honoring the brave. And on the department update, we have some explorers stuck. So we will go, is everybody here from Fountain Up? Okay, so we'll go ahead with Chief Cristiani. Go ahead and do your report, and then Fountain Up is here, but are all the canines here?
Yes, so Madam Mayor, we'll start with the canines and we'll do some introductions there and we'll bring up Fountain Up.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I will do my department update after we start with the canines. I've got Canine Mako here with Officer Ryder. Canine Mako is our new dual-purpose dog that we've spoken about, meaning he's a bite dog and a drug dog. We don't really call them bite dogs, there's an apprehension dog. So as soon as...
You have an app.
Is he going down to get him? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Mako while his handler's going down to get him. So Mako's a pretty new dog to our department. So he's still getting acclimated to being around other dogs. He's very excited, but he's doing great work. And I'm going to tell this story with Brett, Officer Ryder, not being here right now, but they had a fantastic apprehension a couple of nights ago, and it's important that I let you all know about this because this is why we got Mako. It was a gentleman that was found passed out in his vehicle. I want to say the Walmart parking lot, but regardless, he was passed out in his vehicle, and officers had gone up to the individual and tried to wake him up. When they woke him up, he put the car in drive and drove away from the officers, almost hitting the officers as he was driving away. Luckily, we had already placed a spike underneath one of the tires, and so it slowly flattened his tires as he tried to get away. Officers eventually were able to have him stop down the road a bit. Well, the suspect was not compliant, would not get out of his car, and the officers were at bay behind their police cars trying to get him out of his vehicle. At that point, we didn't know what we had. So with that situation, this is where Canine Mako becomes very valuable. We had one of two choices that night. We weren't going to let the man go because we didn't know why he drove off from us, and he was acting erratically and probably drunk. So Canine Mako and Brett were on the scene, and good boy, while the officers shot pepper balls into the car and had their guns pointed at this individual to get him out of the car. He wasn't complying. The individual did not get out of the car. And I can't do the story justice without the body-worn camera and Brett telling his story, but Brett and Mako here with one announcement that they were gonna send in the dog, and I don't know whether the suspect saw Mako or not, but he immediately came out of the car with his hands up. That is a key component to why we have him, because if it wasn't gonna be for Mako and Brett doing that, the officers were gonna have to advance on that car. Caveat, there was a firearm in that car that we believe the suspect was reaching for when the officers were there. This is why Mako is here, and this is why he's a very important part of our team, and he's gonna become a part of our rapid response team when we have call-outs and we bring out the SWAT team, because he's a valuable tool. And this doesn't explain it any better than this that happened a couple of days ago. So as you can see, Mako's very anxious to work. He's excitable. He knows when he gets out of the car, he gets to go have fun. With that said, I'm not gonna keep him here any longer, but introduce everybody to Mako and Officer Ryder.
Welcome, Mako, and thank you, Officer Ryder, for being willing to take that on. Why Mako?
It's just the Mako shark. I was like,
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't state it, somebody will make up something else, so, yeah.
So Officer Ryder went through several weeks, how many weeks in Pennsylvania?
6 weeks.
Went through 6 weeks of training in Pennsylvania, and that's where we got Mako. It was very good training, but Brett has trained with Colorado Springs K-9 officers and has received hands-on training here in Fountain that came down and helped us train, and he's on his first week of working out of the car, so you can see he's ready to go. But know that he's in great hands with Officer Ryder, and he's well controlled. So, thank you, buddy, for coming down. Thanks, Brett.
All right. What is he trained to detect?
So he's trained to detect, help me out, Lieutenant McGee, he's trained to detect drugs and anything besides drugs, firearms or bombs, anything like that yet?
No, well, article searches, which could be a firearm.
Right.
No bomb dog or anything like that.
Okay,
And we're still working on that tracking.
good, yep. So he'll get more certifications as he goes along. Obviously, the two that he's really good at are the drugs and apprehension of humans. And then he can do article searches, looking for firearms or, when people toss something out into the weeds, he'll go find it. So, but as he gets older and works with Brett a little more, he'll become more highly trained and more valuable. So, very good. Yep, we're ready for the next two, and Fountain Up if you guys want to come up. So we should have, so we're going to have 3 more dogs. Sorry, Todd. So you all know Hulk.
Right.
Hulk is our therapy dog, but we'll reintroduce him to the community. Hulk's our therapy dog. Shane has had him now for almost 2 years. Over 2 years. Hulk is the most behaved dog in our fleet of animals.
Sometimes.
He's a good boy, loves to be pet. He goes to the schools often. We're very excited for the school year to go out there and have Shane and go out there and spend some time with the kids and the teachers, and they really enjoy Hulk. And then on their way up here, you're going to have Officer Ryder's wife, Paige Ryder, bring up, I got to get all these names right, Goose. Goose is a drug apprehension dog in the schools, along with Melissa Warden and Boomer. They're all drug apprehension dogs, so they're going to be up here to stand by and receive. So while they're waiting for them to come up, if Fountain Up wants to grab the microphone.
Council, I'm Joni. I am the chairperson of Fountain Up, and this is our whole committee here representing us today. We held our second annual Bark in the Park event on June 3rd in Metcalf Park down at the dog park. It was very wet and rainy that entire day. We still had a number of vendors that showed up. And at that event, we were able to raise money through our Lollygag Loop, which is a walk through Adams Open Space, Waste Connections sponsorship, vendor donations, and booth sales from the Fountain Up booth at that event. And on that day, we raised a grand total of $2,500 to present to the Fountain K-9 unit.
get everybody to kind of line up here so we can
Yeah,
get
let's
it
get a
on-
picture.
on YouTube.
Thank you very much,
And-
Fountain Up.
and then
You
get
know we
some
put this money to
photos,
good
yeah.
use, and we can't thank you enough for this donation. It's awesome.
All right.
Yes, we.
There you go. All right. So just to summarize it, we have 4 canines,
Correct.
and 3 are can have the ability to do drugs. One is a
Yes.
apprehension dog.
Apprehension
And
dog.
the other one is to take our apprehension away.
Correct, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And the 2 dogs,
All right.
Boomer and Goose, are very valuable in the schools. One works at the middle school with Melissa Warden, and the other one works at the high school with Paige Ryder. And I think it's a valuable tool to deter drugs from being brought into the schools. So again, another valuable tool that you all have supported, and thank you for that. My next quick presentation is our new beacon unit. I'd like to have Officer DeMarucot and Blair, please come up. So this is Blair. She is our new clinician from UC Health. You all are very familiar with the Beacon Connect unit, and you all know Officer D, as she's better known as. She has kind of altered her schedule and lifestyle and how she's been an officer for a long time here, and she's decided to take on the Beacon. And we're very proud that Echo has decided to take this job assignment. It's very valuable, and Echo is going to be a fantastic fit for this new Beacon unit. So we're now up and running with 2. Blair has been with us for really 2 weeks even.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, but she comes to us from UC Health, highly trained individual. I think everybody knows how the Beacon benefits the city of Fountain, and how many people we don't put in jail because of the Beacon and this whole mental health crisis that this country is in right now. And she plays an integral role in that, and we're very thankful to have her here. So does anybody from council have any questions for Blair or Officer D?
Welcome to our unit. We're super excited to have Beacon full again and running. Does that mean we're going to have Beacon out 7 days a week, available 7? Or?
Yes. Echo covers, what are your days, Wednesday through Saturday? Sunday to Wednesday. So Echo is Sunday through Wednesday, and the other is Wednesday through Saturday. So we have one day where we have both of the units on. But yes, we have 7-day-a-week coverage, 365.
Real quick, just for the record, explain Beacon in 5 sentences or less, huh? And what
Yeah.
what BHC
Yep.
stands.
It is Behavioral Health Connect. It is a highly trained clinician, trained in mental health, and it is paired up with a police officer. The officer's almost sole role is to ensure the safety of the clinician. I think we all know that police officers are not very well trained in mental health and how to deal with the mentally ill. And it's not always necessarily mental health, it's somebody in crisis. Police tend to want to arrest and do what police do if there's a crime. While there may still be a crime, it's a low enough level crime where we can invite Beacon in, and Beacon can take care of the mental side of things, where they can maybe have them provided with resources. Sometimes there's psychiatric holds. So it's a very valuable tool for us, and it keeps our officers back on the streets, answering many different calls. And then Echo and her clinician can take care of what they need to take care of. And on a typical month, they put so many officers back on the streets doing what they need to do. So that's real short what Beacon stands for. So, thank you.
And even if someone isn't in crisis, I know I've had people before they can call you guys and set up like a plan
Yes, ma'am.
for the family in case
And get
something,
some resources that they might need.
right. Okay, so don't wait until the crisis necessarily to reach out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, these guys, Echo and Blair will respond to calls if somebody needs help before crisis. That's a great point.
But they can stop by the police station and maybe make an appointment to, if they have a family member that might be in need, that may possibly get some resources from you guys.
Yep. And that's the beauty of having Blair in the car with Echo. The resources Echo can provide are fairly limited, but Blair can bring in a whole myriad of resources to individuals and maybe prevent the problem before it gets out of control.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining us. I'm super excited. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Sorry, this is Show and Tell Police Night.
Yeah, go for it.
Explorers, come on up. So I would not do this program justice. I'll just say a couple of words. This is the group that went to LEPAC. And I'm going to let Lieutenant Mallett speak on behalf of the Explorers and the great job they did, and she can talk about all the awards.
Good evening. As you guys know, my heart is with our kids here in Fountain, and we're always doing things to better our community. And these young people have taken an interest in our career field, right? It's not the easiest time to want to be a police officer, and they meet every Thursday. We meet every Thursday from 5 to 8 at the high school, sometimes at the PD. And we do all different kinds of police training, and we do it all year long. So once a year, maybe with Chief's blessing, we might end up going to Chandler, Arizona one of these years. But we go up to Western University in Gunnison, and they compete against all other agencies and explorer groups. So this year, we had 27 different agencies in Gunnison and 134 explorers. Our explorers were paired off with other explorers, so you have one from each agency. So you could have a Douglas County, a Fountain kid, a Boulder kid, and then they compete, and they compete in scenarios. So we do domestic violence calls, we do traffic stops, we do all the stuff that police do on the daily, and we get to rate and grade these kids on the knowledge that these advisors are teaching them all year. So this year, we took nine kids up. We took 5th place and 2nd place in the CIT call, which is what Beacon is essentially. So we took 5th and 2nd. We had an active threat call that we took 5th place. We had a bomb threat that we took 2nd place. In traffic stops, we took 2nd place. Suspicious circumstances, we took 5th, 4th, and 3rd. And then in family disturbance, we took 4th and 3rd. So again, we just love the fact that these kids are coming out with us. They're positive in their schools. They're being positive role models. We're getting them involved, and they're showing other agencies and everyone what they're learning and how enthusiastic they are to be our next generation of police officers.
Congratulations. That's
And
super exciting.
Stress on the point that we've recruited and have had 2 officers from this program become full-time Fountain police officers. I can't stress how important that is. All of these guys, whether they want to be cops or not, are dedicating time to the community. And whether they're firefighters, police officers, whatever they decide to do, they're going to be valuable to whatever community they go work in. So the fact that we've taken 2 officers out of this group is amazing to me. So let's hear it up for these guys.
Can we get everybody to turn around
Yep.
kind of up by the podium here so we can get you on YouTube so your parents and grandparents can all see online? And then get some photos, please. All right. This is just super exciting because, you know, in a day and age when most of the things you hear online about youth is negative, this is such a positive for our community and for these kids. No matter
Yeah.
what they do in life, this is gonna really help their leadership. Councilmember Duncan?
I just want to say congratulations to the youth. You look so nice and spiffy and making Fountain proud. I also want to give a shout out, not only, you know, the boys look great, but the girls look awesome. I just saw on the news where, you know, they were training, you know, they're recruiting women as police officers. So kudos to you for stepping up to a job that's only been seen as a male.
Yeah, and this couldn't be done without Lieutenant Mallett Sergeant Matt Sanchez and all of the advisors they have that work with them every Thursday night. It couldn't be done without their dedication as well, and it's probably got, again, I'll put this program up against anybody in the state. They know that, just like our SROs, so thank you all very much.
Hang on, just, Councilmember Hinton wanting to say something also. That's okay.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to say that I'm extremely proud. I'm proud of our city. I'm proud of you and your accomplishment and what you did. It's very hard to go do a competition and prepare for all those different scenarios, but you guys did a great job and you represented the city of Fountain proudly, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I was thinking that too when he was describing all the different scenarios. I was like, good gosh, one or two of them would be enough to exhaust most people. And that's a lot of different scenarios and brain power. I'd like to point out the new patch up there too tonight.
Yes, that got leaked early, but yes.
Okay.
Our new patch.
And that was designed by one of our officers, right?
It was. It was a
Yeah.
collaboration, but designed by, it started out in our detective investigations and it just kind of grew legs and, I don't know if she's still here, but Melissa Warden, way in the back, had a lot to do with getting this patch finalized and worked with the vendor and went through a lot of heartache and pain to get to this point, but yeah. Hopefully by next council meeting, I'll be sporting the new patch so y'all can see it on the uniform. It looks fantastic. On
Yeah.
the uniform, yep.
Yeah.
Jerry has it on hers already.
Oh, yeah. Come on up, Jerry.
Okay.
Model, Jerry.
There you go. You know, that was in, that's in other things as described, right?
All right, anything else, Mayor and Council, before I move on with my department update? All
I
right,
think we're good. Go ahead.
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming by tonight. And parents, thank you for supporting your kids and getting them where they need to be. That's a huge part of it, too.
All right, let's, without further ado, let's get through this so we can move on. You can go to the next slide. So, currently right now, we have 59 sworn members and 8 civilians. That means we're about 4 short because with the ballot positions, we have 4 more to hire to get us up to 63. As you see below, we are allotted 67 when it's all said and done, but we don't anticipate having all 67 officers until probably the end of 2024. Again, we're not going to sacrifice quantity for quality, so we're going to make sure we get the best cops on the road for the money that the citizens have allowed us to spend. The additional school resource officers, 6, that are going to go on to Fort Carson, it's kind of on hold right now. We don't have full confirmation from Fort Carson that they're going to go ahead and allow this to happen, basically. It's in the legal side of things, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. We're working through some issues. Know that District 8 and the police department is ready to push forward with this. We're just waiting for Fort Carson and the legal team up there to kind of give us the full okay on it. So we're in a holding pattern with that. So you can see by the end of 2024, if the 6 officers, SROs come on board, we'll have 73. If not, we'll be at the 67. Next, please. We're currently hiring for the 2B positions right now, which is going to add 5 officers to patrol, and it's going to give us 1 additional detective focusing on internet crimes against children's cases. That's a very important component that needs to be addressed. I could probably put 10 detectives on that alone, and it still wouldn't be enough. But the fact that we are going to start, as you know, Sergeant Marshall has been doing ICAT cases on her own right now, and she's going to get some help with another detective we're going to add there. So 5 to patrol, 1 detective. We've already talked about the 6 SROs and what that's going to look like. If we don't get laterals from other agencies, we're going to start utilizing El Paso County Sheriff's Office Training Academy to train the new officers. Because thanks to you all, we're allowed to have recruit positions where we pay them a lower salary while they go into training, and then we are allowed to bring them on as full-time employees once they finish up the academy. We'll also still be drawing from Pikes Peak State College and anywhere else really around the state that wants to come and work for Fountain. We have people knocking on our door to come work for us. We just don't have all the positions that we could possibly fill. So, but we have still a lot of people wanting to be police officers, so that's great news for us. Next. So far this year, we've handled about almost 17,000 calls for service, and these are updated as of probably 2 weeks ago when I prepared this PowerPoint. So we've handled about almost 19,000 calls for service, 390 traffic accidents, 1 fatality, which we don't like to see any fatalities, but you know, throughout the year we get a couple, so it's always not great news. But no, we have a full accident reconstruction team that does full investigations on those. And if we need to loop in State Patrol, they help us with that as well. So far this year, we've done almost 2,500 traffic stops and issued 1,354 summons. So that should tell you what's happening on the other half of those traffic stops is we're educating the public and giving warnings. And as you can see, we actually give, well, not quite as many warnings as tickets. So we're almost, we're doing pretty good there. I think that's a testament to our officers who educate the public before we give tickets. I mean, that's the goal, right? To get people to comply with the law and not, give everybody a ticket. We've processed 85 DUIs to date so far. Unfortunately, again, 2 homicides. And I don't have any further updates on those other than we're making significant progress. Sexual assaults, we've had 10 confirmed sexual assaults, 31 burglaries, and 39 motor vehicle thefts. Just a comment on the motor vehicle thefts. I think we all know that that's kind of the nexus of what happened with Officer Becerra and how that whole thing took place. That is becoming a focus for this region. There's a task force out there right now that our officers are a part of. It's the battle team. They go out every Monday and they tackle these motor vehicle thefts in this region. So while it seems like not a terrible crime, I guess, that your vehicle gets stolen, what that leads to are many, many other crimes that become much more serious. Of course, the ultimate sacrifice that Julian gave was as a result of something like that. So it's a focus of our department, and we're not going to let up on capturing individuals that steal cars. So we've already met the K-9 unit, so I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide because you just got a good dose of that. The Fountain Explorers, again, can't talk enough about the Explorer program and how beneficial that is to the community. There's so many community volunteer service hours that the Explorers do. And there's your cadre of advisors, of course, led by Tara Mallet and Matt Sanchez. They've been leading the program and have got this program to where it's at today, and they've been doing it for several years. So couldn't pick 2 better people to lead that program and the youth of our community. Next. So here's what we're looking at for the future. Have all positions filled, meeting our 2B expectations. And what, Fire Chief's not here to speak on this, so I'll speak for him just briefly on this. He and I are gonna come up probably at least every 6 months, if not more than that, with a little document that we're gonna put out on social media about where we are with the 2B and how we're spending that money. I wanna make sure that the public is fully aware of where those dollars are being spent and where those officers are currently in their training program or hiring process. I just want the council and the mayor and of course the citizens to know where we stand in that process. So it's transparent. Anybody's welcome to come on into the police station where I can maybe have a more one-on-one meeting with somebody and explain it in detail. But we're gonna make sure that that's fully transparent of how we're spending that money. And also part of that is gonna be, once we get all the positions hired, if there's extra monies involved, retention in law enforcement right now is a huge issue. It's very hard to retain people. There's competition all over the place. Cities are throwing money in many different forms to try to get officers to come work for them. We preach and we subscribe to our culture here in Fountain as a city. We have tremendous support, obviously, from the mayor and council, and our citizens support us. We don't have people knocking on our door asking us why the police aren't responding to their calls. We continue to want to keep our officers that we have here, and one of the ways we can do that is to get them some extra monies along the way or some different benefits. So we're going to be looking at that. We are planning for the rapid population growth, as is every department that's behind me. We're planning for that and how much that's going to impact our police department. I think these 6 officers will get us by and will get us moving along in the right direction. But what we don't know is how the growth is going to really take place and how many people are actually going to start living here in Fountain or very close to Fountain around the outskirts, whether it's the city or not. Those resources are going to be impacted. So we are having current discussions of how we're going to kind of tackle those issues. As always, we continue to collaborate with our regional partners. We couldn't do this by ourselves. El Paso County Sheriff's Office, Colorado Springs State Patrol, Fort Carson. I just had a great meeting today with John Trilch and all the folks from Fort Carson came over, and we just talked about all the collaboration we do and all the things that we do together, because nobody, I don't care if you're a huge entity like Fort Carson or a smaller entity like Fountain Police Department, we need the help of others, and so we're always working on those relationships. I'm now a part of a faith-based meeting that we have with Colorado Springs, the Sheriff's Office, and faith-based leaders around this region. I'm going to be inviting a couple from our local churches here to come with me in the next meeting next month, and I think it's really a key component to having success as a community. So we're going to be looking at doing that as well. I personally want to start having some town hall meetings, and I'm going to incorporate at least my commanders, probably my lieutenants as well, to get out into the city and have some town hall style meetings. Call it whatever you want to call it, but it's really, I want, again, as I talked to you all about when I was applying for this position, is I want to be transparent with the citizens, and I want them to know what the police department is doing, but more so, I want them to tell me what they want the police department to do. What does it look, how do the citizens want me to operate? It doesn't do me any good. I know what I think I should be doing. I know what I've done for the last 29 years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what the citizens of Fountain want us to do. I want them to tell me how they want their police department to operate and what they want us to do. Because if I'm not working for what they want, I don't think we're accomplishing anything. So again, we're not going to arrest and write tickets our way out of any situation we're in right now. I need community feedback. And so that's my goal with these town hall style meetings, is to get feedback from the community. And last, I think we talked about this a little bit, but we're going to be putting out a monthly newsletter that my PIO, Lisa Schneider, is going to be putting out pretty regularly, probably monthly. We haven't got it off the ground yet. Our crime analyst right now is struggling with her health. So right now, we're just trying to figure out how we're going to get that out. So while I do mention that, it was kind of off the top of my head, if we could all say a silent prayer for Wanda. She's at home right now resting, but she's struggling with her health, so we just got to make sure we keep her in our hearts. So when Wanda comes back, we will get this monthly newsletter out, and we'll start getting that underway, so again, we can let the citizens know how that's going. So, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there with Wanda. She's an important part of our department, and she's struggling right now, so Madam Mayor, if I could just have like 10 seconds for a moment of silence for her and pray for her health.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all I have for my presentation. Is there any questions from council or mayor?
I do have one question if you could address.
Yes, ma'am.
This has been all over Facebook a lot.
You reminded me.
The windmills.
Yes. So everybody knows the large trucks with well, I know what they're for, but they're the large trucks with the big white tubes on them. Those are turbine parts that are going out to the eastern part of Colorado. The reason they're traveling through our city, and it's all permitted, that we got notification of this several months ago that this was going to be taking place. The reason they're traveling up Santa Fe and across Mesa Ridge and out east is because of the construction on I-25. They cannot operate those big trucks through the construction safely without causing damage, and it would be a disaster. So right now they're using Santa Fe. They're trying to do it not during rush hour traffic, but it is what it is. They do have to make that cloverleaf turn there onto Mesa Ridge, and that's a struggle because that truck is a dual turning truck, so the back turns and the front turns. So we just got, I don't know how long that project's going on. Todd, do you have any input on that? So I don't know how long that's going to be going, but it's obviously a lot more windmill building than I ever thought we did, but apparently it's a lot. So we're doing the best to manage the traffic when they get stuck and to help the flow go, but it's really the 2 or 3 trucks that are in front of the pack and then the trucks behind the pack. So we just ask our citizens to be patient while this is going on. Eventually, the freeway's going to get done, that's going to get done, and we'll be much more free flowing around here, but right now it's a bit of a struggle.
Today, I saw the 2 halves of a mobile home. They had pulled onto a private parking lot to wait. I don't know if they were waiting for their drivers or whatever, but if that happens on your property,
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight. You're going to ruin somebody's parking lot.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know.
Would they call the police and say, this huge thing is on my lot? And
I mean, we could certainly start there. I'm not sure how the police department would handle that, to be honest with you. I don't know. They're trying to probably time it to where they're not causing too much traffic congestion during rush hour, but they're probably not allowed to pull onto somebody's private property without permission. Now, if they got that permission, maybe that's okay, but I wouldn't anticipate they did. But sure, they could start it with the police department, and we would at least respond out there and try to mediate the situation. I'm not sure where it would go from there, but yeah, you know, maybe I can get with some of those companies and try to figure out what the plan is. But yeah, technically, you're not allowed to pull onto the property of somebody with your half house, or one of these turbines would not be able to pull onto private property because the asphalt's not strong enough to handle that weight. So that's a good point.
Okay. Any questions from anybody else on council for, I didn't see a light on. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Estes. Okay.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to turn that on.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Duncan?
Back on.
So you have a lot on your plate, and thank you for all of your hard work and, you know, everything that you're doing. School started this week.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the way here, the bus pulled out the stop sign and the car kept going. And it took everything I had not to pull over and.
Yeah, grab a picture. Yeah.
So, you know, you've done the education piece on, you know, anything you want to say to drivers that are not stopping.
Yeah, you know, this kind of goes back to what I talked about a couple of weeks ago. You know, there's laws in place, and I think everybody knows what you're supposed to do when the bus stop sign comes up. But every year, we deal with people not stopping. And boy, I would hate to see a child get hit by a car that's either too hasty or impatient or just doesn't even notice the stop sign. So we always ask the drivers, especially now, school's only 2 days running, to pay attention to the school zones. Our traffic units out there in force right now. We are going to be writing tickets. It's virtually a no tolerance in a school zone, and it's absolutely no tolerance for a school bus stop. So we just ask our citizens to pay attention to the buses. They've been off for about 3 months, and they're back at it. So please, everybody, just keep close, and we want to protect our kids, and I would hate to have something happen to one of our children. So thanks for bringing that up.
Those tickets are rather expensive in a school zone, aren't they?
Yeah, they're about $500.
Okay, yeah. All right, so slow down. All right.
So is there any
Any other questions?
questions from?
Oh, is it on for real this time?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Councilmember Estes.
I have a question about the school zone by the high school, because we
Yes.
were hearing a lot on the news with the high school zones in Colorado Springs. Can you address that and kind of give our citizens kind of what we do down here?
Yeah, so actually, good that you brought that up. The high school right now has run a different configuration this year, so where we've got the buses going in and out of one side of the school, and the student drop-off is kind of in the center of the school, so that's different than they've ever done it before. They're trying to combat kind of the traffic problem and the safety of the children, so we hope that's helping. Yet to be determined, the full student body is going to be on campus tomorrow, where the juniors and seniors report for school, so we'll see how the new configuration goes. But our officers are out there, our school resource officers are out there directing traffic, and some of them are running radar and some of them are watching for violations. So not only is the traffic unit out there, but the Fountain SROs are out there also enforcing traffic, and they're pretty diligent throughout the year. They don't, we do the same thing throughout the whole year. It's a pretty high enforcement zone in front of the high school. But we've got the flashing yellow lights, that puts you down to 25 miles per hour. I think Jimmy Camp is only 35 miles per hour anyway, and then we knock them down to 25 when they go by the school. And that school starts from Conrad preschool all the way down to, I think the street is Barnell. It's a very large zone, so if people can be mindful of that 25 zone. Same thing here on Santa Fe in front of the middle school, that's a 25 zone, and you're coming off of a 35 limit. So we just ask everybody to slow down and do 25.
Councilmember Hinton.
Yeah, Chief, can you just just let people know about the emergency stop when vehicles are pulled over? I think there's some confusion. If people can't get to the left, that they
Right.
just need to slow down to 20 miles an hour and
Yeah.
just drive through that. I almost saw a huge accident because somebody almost just wanted to get over, but he couldn't get over, and he
Almost forced the issue.
Yeah, he almost caused another accident.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So yeah, with the new move over law, and it's really not new, but it's an enhanced move over law, where basically any emergency vehicle or personnel, we talked about the street workers on the side of the road, tow trucks. The move over law does require you to move over if you can safely. But if you cannot move over, because traffic is very heavy right now on pretty much all of our streets, It's impossible to move over. You certainly don't want to cause a crash in moving over, but the law requires you to slow down to 25 miles per hour as you're passing that emergency vehicle. Sometimes that's not terribly realistic to slow down to 25, but if everybody did it on the freeway, it would make it better. But if we at least can get people to slow down, the new speed limit on the freeway up there is 60. If we can get them to slow down to 35 or 40 as they're passing either the trooper or the tow truck, I think that would significantly reduce the problem we're having. But yes, don't cause an accident forcing the move over. You don't have to move over if you can't safely do so, just slow down. Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions from anybody up here? All right.
All right.
So if someone sees something like Councilmember Duncan did in a school zone, and they
Yep.
do get a license plate or something, what would you like them to do with it?
Absolutely call us. At the very least, we can pay a visit to a house, knock on the door, and educate. That'd be our first mission, is to educate. I always give the benefit of the doubt. The schools are just now back in session. Maybe they didn't see it, or maybe they didn't notice the stop sign, or unfortunately, maybe they don't know the law. If you have a young driver that maybe doesn't know that they have to stop for a school bus sign. So lots of new young drivers that got their driver's license over the summer, so maybe we just need to educate. So absolutely call the police. If you can report the plate and the vehicle description, we'll swing by the home and do some education that way.
Okay, and we get a lot of new people in our community every year, too.
Absolutely.
That haven't lived in Colorado before, maybe.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right,
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and Council. Thank you.
thank you. All right, I believe Ms. Hatton made it over the train tracks.
Now I completely get it when people say they get stuck behind a train.
Yeah, well, you know what, I think you made really good time, so.
It started and it stopped all over again. Thank you, Mayor Thompson, council members. Appreciate your time and your flexibility and your patience with me. I'd just like to come every year and give you all an update on where we are and what we're doing with Homefront Military Network. I brought a couple friends this time. John Anderson, our board chair, and Sally Clark, a board member as well. So they might want to chime in at some point too, but happy to just kind of go through the slides. I'll try and not talk too fast, Fred, I promise. Next slide, please. This slide will probably go away because we're now in year three of our merger, but we merged Peak Military Care Network and the Homefront Cares as a reminder in 2020, and we've combined the missions of both organizations. Next slide. And what we do is we connect service members, veterans, and families to resources offered by our trusted community partners, and we provide emergency financial assistance, really trying to take a holistic approach to the needs of our military and veteran community. Next slide. The services that we provide are a direct assistance and a collaborative effort. So we provide emergency financial assistance for rent, utilities, car repairs. We also help, the majority of what we do is navigation. We really help people connect to services. Oftentimes people call us because they have a financial need, but there's really a lot behind that. Or there may be needs that we can help children and family members with as well. So we try and take that navigation piece and make sure people who have complex needs can get all their needs met with multiple services. Often they're overwhelmed and they can't do it by themselves. We work with them to make sure they can advocate for themselves, but really kind of they're overwhelmed. Where do we start? We help them get a starting point and get to self-sufficiency if it's a financial issue, as well as just helping them thrive in our community. The education and outreach is really tied to our partner network and really making sure that we have about 50 partner agencies who we want to make sure know about the needs of our military and veteran family and how to connect other services so they don't walk in one door and looking for a job at the workforce center, for example, and then say, well, we don't do behavioral health, good luck with that. We want them to know how to connect. If they can't, they can always come back to us and we'll kind of connect the dots. Next slide. Ways to connect, that's what we always want to make sure we want to make sure people know how to find us and find the services they need. Our Network of Care website is a great resource. If you know what you're looking for, you can look online and find a whole bunch of, we probably have about 1,000 services in that service directory. The good news is we have 1,000 services in that service directory. The bad news is we have 1,000 services in that service directory so that those who have trouble or don't know where to start or are kind of overwhelmed, they can, but the good news is we also have an online form if people can't find what they need and they can reach out to us. It goes directly to our case management team and they will follow up with that person or family directly. Our phone number is the best way to reach us. It's a 719 phone number. We do serve statewide so that people can reach us everywhere. What we do is web-based and call-in so that people don't have to drive into our office. So multiple ways to reach us. Whatever works for them works for us. Next slide. Again, talking about the kind of community and the role is really to have that collective impact. It takes a village, as they say. We have multiple agencies that provide a variety of services, and the goal is to really make sure anything that touches a service member, a veteran, or family member, that we have resources in the network to help. Next slide, please. I'm just going to jump into that one. That's the eye chart slide that shows the partner agencies we have, everything from early care and education to hospice and palliative care, an organization called Operation TBI Freedom that Mr. Hinton may be aware of. And again, really the goal is that holistic needs of our service members, veterans, and families. Next slide. I'll just jump through these fast. You've got copies of these slides, so you can get them so that if you have questions. Just talk about our collective impact. The partner network, like just Homefront Military Network and our predecessors have served more than 200,000 service members, veterans, and families since inception. That's a big load in terms of the needs in our community across all the programs that we've had. And then of that, $6.1 million in emergency financial assistance. That's since 2004. So a lot of need out there. The goal is really to keep people from being in a financial crisis and helping them be whole. And the partner network has served more than 530,000 folks. That's unduplicated. That might be somebody who is going to Pikes Peak State College and getting a job through the Workforce Center, or might have other services. So it's really just kind of the overall breadth and depth of that network, so that the volume of services that are provided in our community. We also provide trainings to our partners through monthly information trainings and networking opportunities, and 2,600 partner agency participants in the past 7 years. We've been tracking that, not as long as some of the other information, but we have a lot of folks who are repeat customers and show up to all of our meetings. Some are new, and so trying to keep the information relevant and fresh, but it also not overwhelming for those who might be new. Sometimes there's as much turnover in the nonprofit world as there is in the military world, so we want to make sure that those who are working and serving our military and veteran community have cultural competence, know what the unique needs are, know how to reach back to the installations of the VA and get folks connected to the right services. Next slide. The partner trainings, again, are a big way we really track collaboration and collective impact. So we survey our partners after these meetings, and 92% said that our trainings increased awareness of military and veteran needs. 94% said the trainings will help them better serve, and that's really our goal. And 97% said the collaboration improved. Again, really the goal is to not have agencies siloed and have people be frustrated, but they're all working together. Next slide. I'm almost finished, I promise. That's another eye chart slide. Again, just trying to, we collect a lot of data and a lot of information, but we've had our overall call volume 400% increase. It's just gone up. A lot of that was that first year of the merger and COVID, but it's still continued to go up 15, 17, 20% over the past few years. And again, in the past year, we provided $295,000 in emergency financial assistance. And then more than half, before COVID, about 10% of those who called us needed kind of that longer term navigation, and now it's more than half. Again, complex need, challenging needs. It's never a simple, and every call is different. So our case managers work hard to make sure that they can kind of figure out what the needs are. We made more than 3,800 referrals just as Homefront Military Network last year, so we're connecting folks to a lot of services. We also want to know that we're doing if we're doing a good job in helping them connect to those needs. And it's not just about, did they get connected to employment services? Did they get connected? Did they get financial assistance? Across the board, all of our clients, 86% expressed improved opinions of community supports, and 96% had lower stress and anxiety levels. I know it was mentioned kind of how the stress level in our world is kind of insane right now. And so anything we can do to help minimize people's stress and let them know they're heard and valued, I think is pretty important. Financial assistance clients, we're not only tracking short term, did we help make 100%? We helped a bill. 72% said that their financial assistance remained improved 6 months later. So there's still some long-term challenges to making sure people are whole long-term, and that's tied to a lot of the issues around affordability of things like housing and just the cost of living these days, which continues to go up. But 98% remained stably housed, and 99% indicated lower stress and anxiety levels 6 months after our assistance. So we're having a positive impact on people's lives. It's not just about a one-time assistance. It's about how do we affect it long-term. Next slide. Again, big picture, 486% increase in total calls over the past 4 years. Connections to services have increased 93%. The number of partners trained has gone up 67%. Referrals that partners are reporting on has gone up, where their network of care visits are actually down, which is sort of weird. I think it was post-pandemic, kind of, people are looking to get in person versus online. So we're going to continue to outreach that, to people know that's a resource. Outreach events, we want to come and talk to people and know that we exist. So I know that there are some events coming up in Fountain. Hopefully we'll be there, as well as on the installations and everything. So the goal is to really make sure people know about us. We don't want to be a well-kept secret. We want people to know about who we are and what we do and how we can connect them to the great partners that we have. Next slide. This has come up in other, local government briefings we've done, is where do we get our funding and how do we spend our funding? So a lot of what we do is through foundations, gifts, and grants, special events like upcoming events. I think we have a concert this week and a breakfast coming up that help as well. And we get a lot of in-kind support from different places to really help us, from different entities, including, media and things like that, to help, again, spread the word. A little over 85% of our funding is related to program work. Really a lot of what we do, all of what we do is related to our program work, in addition to, keeping the lights on. So wanted to share that information with you. And then I think that might be the last really substantive slide, other than some testimonials, again, from we hear, not just from those who we assist, but also from partner agencies in the VA that we help, help them do their jobs. I think that was specifically from a HUD-VASH social worker who commented that, we help them do their jobs. And that's our goal, to make people's jobs easier. Ideally, I'd like to put us all out of business. I really would, but we're not quite there yet. So we'll keep doing what we do. I will stop there. I know I talk fast and threw a lot of data at you. Any questions? I just appreciate the opportunity to kind of fill you in on what we see and what we do and how we can help make a difference. So, any questions?
Thank you so much for coming down tonight. It's always amazing to me how much you guys do, and just continue to do, and just keep building those services up and up and up. Do you find there's any hole you have in anything, that type of service that you're really missing? Because
Sure, yeah, John, you want to come up and see? There are providers there, there's just not enough money. I would say one big issue is really homeless prevention dollars. That's a big challenge in terms of folks who, there was a lot of money through the pandemic, and a lot of people who were out, hadn't paid rent in 6, 7, 8 months, that money's kind of dried up. And so now people are coming back and saying, I still have trouble paying rent. So, that's one of the gaps that we see. There are other pieces around some issues of transportation and getting people to their medical appointments and things like that. Again, there are resources. Sometimes it's connecting the dots, and a lot of it is the gap in information and awareness. And so those are the things that we're combating today and every day.
Okay.
So.
Any questions from anybody else up here?
John is our fearless leader. Sally's one of our fearless leaders. So,
I know you guys, unfortunately, are sometimes a best-kept secret, because
yeah.
I have just sent people over and over and over again, and they just, who are they? So you never kind of quit being new here. It's a struggle with businesses, but, you guys too, yeah.
Yeah, and the more we can tell people how to get connected, so that, again, it's like, the shrug is the most depressing part for me. So if we can help connect folks, and that's what everybody's around to do.
Yeah.
Other questions? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, Sally Clark, and I'm a longtime board member and event committee chair for, I think, the event that you'll be considering tonight. But we exist, and Homefront Military Network exists because of those 50-plus partner agencies, the merger, the direct, plus the referrals that are made. And, this is an important community, as you all know. I'm a military wife. I know how important this is to our young military families, and you all know that because Fort Carson is the post is right in your backyard. So we do have our breakfast coming up, as Kate mentioned, different events throughout the year. Our goal is $250,000 for the event coming up on the 13th at the Broadmoor, of September. So hopefully, if we have folks that are interested or that are listening tonight, we'd love to have them come and help the organization, and it'll be a great program. So thank you for certainly your partnership with Homefront Military Network. And those of you that are involved in Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, a lot of what came out of the network of care ended up as Peak Military Care Network, ended up merging the two together. And so some of you were really on the ground helping us make this happen. So thank you so much for your support. I
Well,
don't know
you
if John-
always have an amazing speaker at that breakfast. It's amazing. There's like hundreds, if not thousands. I don't know how many people fit in there.
About 800, I
About-
think about 800 is
Yeah,
what
so
we
you
had
have
last
hundreds
year.
of people
Yeah.
in there, and you can hear a pin drop. It's pretty amazing if you can get everybody to be that quiet. Councilmember Hinton did have a question here.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I just want to just give my kind of endorsement of this program. I've had an opportunity to work with this organization over many years, and I've seen the great work that they do for our veterans and their families. I always say veterans don't know what they don't know. There's so much resource out there, and it just takes a phone call or an email or just knowing somebody who knows an agency that does this type of service or provides this type of service. So thank you so much, Kate, for always coming in and briefing us on the status, and I really do appreciate everybody that works there and all that they do.
We appreciate you guys too, thank you.
No? You waited all that time? Okay. All right, well, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, we appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Councilmember Duncan?
So we do have a couple of table sponsors for the breakfast. Myself and John got his hand up. So if you would, and Sally. So if you want to come to the breakfast, please hit one of us up. We have seats available, and it is a fundraiser, so we want to make that clear. But it's also a great program. It's a great cause, and we're here if you are wanting to come. Fill our tables up.
We do want to make sure we raise our profile and more people know about who we are. Again, we want to make sure people get connected to services before they're in crisis, as you mentioned earlier.
I'm really glad you guys changed the month. So it's not going to be snowing, icy.
You're right, hopefully there'll be no blizzard,
Yeah,
this crazy weather.
yeah.
So-
Have had crazy the last couple of years, haven't we?
Yes.
But it's
so-
a great, great breakfast. And thank you for sponsoring tables, you guys. So, all righty. With that, we have a proclamation for recognition of honoring the Brave Day. So we will go ahead and read that into the record. And then according to our city clerk, we do not vote on it, right? Just read the proclamation and okay. A proclamation of recognition of honoring the Brave Day, September 13, 2023. Whereas El Paso County is home to more than 100,000 veterans and their families, as well as nearly 40,000 active duty service members and their families. And whereas the city of Fountain is home to more than 4,500 veterans, plus family members, and a large active duty military population. And whereas approximately 1/3 of the population in El Paso County is military or veteran connected, and El Paso County has one of the largest veteran-civilian population ratios in the nation. And whereas El Paso County is home to 5 military installations, including Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Station, the United States Air Force Academy, Fort Carson, Peterson Space Force Base, and Schriever Space Force Base, as well as the National Guard and Reserve missions that contribute more than 100,000 jobs and an overall economic impact of more than $17 billion to the local economy and $36 billion statewide. And whereas the Homefront Military Network, HFMN, was established to enhance collaboration among and between military and VA organizations, state and local government agencies, and community service providers. And whereas HFMN has nearly 50 partner agencies that provide a broad range of services to our military and veteran community. And whereas collectively the HFMN Partner Agency Network has provided more than 530,000 services to service members, veterans, and families in the region, and referrals within the network have increased 2,000% since 2015. And whereas HFMN is hosting the 7th annual Honoring the Braves Breakfast on September 13, 2023, to highlight the collective impact of HFMN and its partners. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Fountain, Colorado, does hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 13, 2023, as Honoring the Brave Day in the city to recognize the sacrifices of those who have served our country. Done this 8th day of August 2023, Sharon Thompson, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very
I feel
grateful
like I
for your
should
support.
salute or something.
Can we ask you
Thank
if
you.
you'd mind taking a photo with
Abs-
the proclamation?
Sure.
Yeah, that would-
We don't have a fancy, like, county commissioners type
Always
one.
better with marketing.
Let me sign it. Oh, wait, I don't want to sign that one because it's,
And the council can come if you'd like to.
Group photo? Group photo if you
Group
want.
photo.
Up to you. Sorry, we're just going to slow down the meeting. Oh, it's fabulous.
Sylvia, you'll send them more like an official, you'll send them like an official nice one.
Come on, guys.
Wait, they're going this way. Okay. All right, which way am I going? I'm going in here.
You're the center. You're the star.
Let me put that here. Yes, you are. No. You're wearing the right shirt.
I know y'all match, I'm impressed. Oh, am I like handing it to Kate?
Oh, sure. Here we go. We'll both hold it.
You can't see the camera. I can see you.
This is going to be amazing.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. So.
Yeah, you too. You're on the 13th.
You need more brochure for us. No, thank you all.
Okay, we kind of went out of order, but I believe we got all the presentations. Okay. All right, that takes us on to item 4.2, Board, Commission, and Committee. There are none tonight. Item 5, Correspondence, Comments, and Ex Officio Reports. Just a reminder that we moved this up on the agenda so that if there's more people here, hopefully they can hear the reports earlier in the meeting rather than waiting to the end. Okay, Mr. Trainer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I really have one item, but it's a little bit of a medium-sized item. We just this last week hosted Jillian Singleton, who was from the U.S. Army Group Hawaii. She is a senior government leader there, senior business operations leader over there for the Army base. I guess there's actually 13 facilities in Hawaii. I didn't know that. She was part of ICMA's, International City Management Association's Senior Army Fellowship Program. And in that program, there are about, 50-plus cities that apply. There's about 25 different Army senior leaders from around the world. I think the furthest one away was Korea this year. She's probably second at Hawaii, I'm guessing, although there may have been someone from Germany as well, who then go and visit local governments, city governments. She chose actually Fountain was her first choice, and so she came and spent a week with us. We hosted her, showed her around. Some of you had the opportunity to meet her, gave her a taste of how our community organization and how our city organization, our community interact with and collaborate with and partner up with our military partners. And so obviously a big focus for us since she was with the Army was Fort Carson. It was a really great experience. She was able to shadow with some of our departments as well to get a sense. The idea is to give them a sense. They see things from the Army perspective, and to give them a sense of how things happen in their neighboring local governments. And so she really walked away with some interesting perspectives, some great perspectives. It was a pleasure to host her. But in doing that, it was really interesting to me to start thinking about all the different ways that Fountain is leading the way when it comes to our military collaborations and partnerships. And I was thinking about it, and this really came to light. I mean, we just do it day to day. We just do it. We get involved. We participate. We collaborate. But when you have someone coming in from the outside and they're sort of going, holy cow, I can't believe you do this, 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 and this, it's sort of an eye-opener. I wanted to mention to you that we've participated for the last 5 years. We do it about every 5 years because it is a heavy lift, ICMA Senior Leader Fellowship Program. We're a leader in Colorado on IGZAs. We're obviously one of the few Colorado members, ADC, of the Association of Defense Communities. For a long time, we were the only member on National League of Cities and ICMA's Military Communities Council. Both of them had similar councils, and both of them disbanded about the time that COVID hit. So, but for the longest time, we were the only community in Colorado that was a part of that. We were a part of initiating the Veterans and Local Government Management Fellowship. And of course, John here is the chair of the CCCMA's Colorado Veterans Leading Government. There's a lot of partnerships, and I know I'm missing some right there as well, that we get involved with that really help us build that relationship and with the Mountain Post, and also show them our support. We were meeting with a senior group of leaders from Fort Carson today, from the garrison, talking about a whole number of different partnerships that John led the discussion on. And again, one of the things I brought up was something that is, I think, kind of gone defunct in the Army years ago, but 10 to 12 years ago, we signed an Army Community Covenant. It still hangs up on the wall of administration, and it really is a statement by the city that we take our obligation with Fort Carson as a sacred obligation. A covenant just isn't an agreement. It's not a contract. It's a sacred obligation. And we feel that sacred obligation to support our military members as well as their families. There's tremendous sacrifices there, as you all know. And so that's always been one of our mantras as we have continued with that. I wanted to share that with you just because I think sometimes we forget how much we do. And it was just a great reminder. She had a great experience here. She's actually hoping to come back again and spend some more time in the future. But thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Mayor, appreciate it. Council, if I could direct your attention up to the screen. A project that has been in the hopper, as you all know, and a huge focus for us is finally coming to fruition. So I wanted to give you a brief update on the Indiana Crossing project. We will be hosting a neighborhood meeting next Thursday, the 17th, here at Council Chambers. We'll be out, Rosa will be leading our contingent tomorrow with some of our public works folks. We're actually going to walk the neighborhood in the immediate area and hand out flyers inviting the neighbors to the meeting. So we wanted to give you kind of the briefing that we're going to give them so that you get it before anyone does. But the timeline that we now have, the bid opening occurred 3 weeks ago. The contract has been awarded. It is to Kiewit Construction, who, as you know, that's a very reputable company and has done these type of projects all over the state. One of the big factors for us was that Kiewit does have extensive experience in working with the railroad, and that's extremely important when you're building a crossing. That construction will start September, so next month. And per the contract, the end of the construction will be probably the June timeframe, May, June, weather dependent. That will come to a conclusion. So with that project, we can expect some major impacts at 85, 87 in Indiana, as there will be a full lighted intersection there. The intersection of Old Pueblo in Indiana when they're completing that transition. And of course, Illinois will be closed at the railroad tracks upon completion of Indiana. So just a kind of a project aerial map for those that may not know where this project is going. That you can see the bank on the left side of the screen. That would be 85, 87. That's where the lighted intersection will be. This will be a 4-lane roadway, so 2 lanes each way, crossing the intersection to the east, and then ultimately transitioning on to Old Pueblo or South Main Street. This is just a project layout map which will show you with a little more definition of what's going to occur. So you can see it will impact Indiana with the intersection of Race. And then as it goes across the tracks, there is nothing there now. And the access point to 85, 87, we've met with the bank once. I'm talking to their owners in California on Friday. To have further discussions on the impacts to them. These agreements that were put in place to them started, Rosa, back in 06, 07, and then they were updated in 2015. So we're going to be talking about those agreements and what's required from us for the bank. And then, of course, the lot to the north of that, the bank owns as well, which is right now a vacant lot. This just kind of gives you an overlay of that aerial to show you those impacts. And it won't be anything that you're not used to in terms of the medians, with the railroad crossing being a quiet zone median. The railroad has already got some of the requirements from them. It's staged there by the tracks right now. They've already removed the short side of tracks on the east side of the road, so they're ready to have us get started, so we're very happy. The last picture we'll show you is just the right-of-way impacts. This is something, as you can see, how close to some of those homes right at the corner that this is going to go. And both of those homes that are on the east side of the road, those were built in 1914. So it's safe to say back in those days, we don't know if they knew where the right-of-way were and how the right-of-way went, but there will be some impacts. And Wilson and Companies, we did meet with the owner today of the home there on the northeast corner, Jim Shearer, and he's already got some plans to redirect to get his vehicles in from the north side of the property, and Wilson and Company is going to help them do that. So there will be some impacts to those homes right there at the corner, and ultimately you will see probably a huge increase in traffic even from what we see on Indiana. It's going to be a much smoother transition for folks coming from the south end of the city, ultimately using 85 to get out to the interstate without having to run that gauntlet from Illinois and take their life into their own hands as they get out onto 85, 87. So with that, that's a quick update. Any questions that I could answer for anybody on this project?
Just a reminder, we have no control over the fact that the railroad is going to close Illinois.
That was one of the requirements of the project.
Yeah, it's one of the requirements of the and they're wanting to move intersections away from schools anyway.
Correct.
So they've been just waiting for us to get this done.
That's correct.
So if you want to yell at anybody over that closing of that street, yell at the railroad.
And a good example is the Mesa Duckwood project that was just
Yes,
completed a few
same
years
thing,
ago.
right.
Initially, we did have complaints come in that we closed Mesa, and now you talk to those folks and they would much rather use Duckwood than, because Mesa was a gauntlet as well. We had multiple accidents out there that our PD had to deal with that. So
And I
we
mean,
hope we'll
they-
have the same reaction.
We basically did a ribbon cutting at Duckwood and they put blockades up.
Yes.
I mean, it was that fast.
Oh, yeah,
So-
they'll do this quickly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Rick?
Todd, we had talked about the bid for this project, and if we had money left over, we were going to be able to do the light at Ohio and Jimmy Camp. Are we going to have enough money for that?
If the bid holds firm, a lot of it's going to depend on what the bank ends up ultimately doing. But if the bid remains firm, we should. If not, enough money to try to get the quiet zone done here at Ohio. So if that's the case and we have that, I'll be back in front of you and we can prioritize those two again and see which one we'd like to move forward with. But we do have hope with if the bid stays where it's at and we don't have to get in the contingency.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, that's all I have.
Councilmember Hinton?
So just to tell in on that question, so if the bid does hold firm and we're good with that, when would that project start if we were able to do that, like, give or take? Because
Councilman
that's just
Hinton,
a
we're
big
gonna-
question with a lot of citizens.
Yeah, we're going to have to kind of wait as we see how that budget goes.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared with your contingencies and any change orders that you might get.
Okay.
To give you just an idea, on top of the construction bid, just what we're paying the railroad is about 1.2 million.
Okay.
So it gets us close. I'm hoping, and we're running out of construction season this year anyways.
Yeah.
We have already purchased the poles and a lot of the span wire and things that we need at Jimmy Camp in Ohio, so we're as prepared as we could be.
Okay.
I'd hope that by the end of the year, we'd have a good feel of where we're at money-wise.
All right.
And if so, then we could start moving forward on either of those or both of those next spring.
All right, thank you so much, Todd.
Councilmember Duncan?
So Todd, when is the walkthrough?
The walkthrough.
Did you say there was a walkthrough?
So we're doing a neighborhood meeting. Don't have a walkthrough, but I'll give you one. You know, I'll go out there and tour you anytime. And we won't need a crossing guard to get over the railroad. But we're going to be doing the neighborhood meeting next Thursday, the 17th,
Okay,
6 o'clock here at City Hall.
okay.
That's all I've got, Mayor.
Okay. That is exciting progress. And like you said, over 10 years in the, where's that? Troy?
Nothing from me tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief?
You've heard enough of me tonight, thank you.
Commander?
No, ma'am, nothing for me.
All right. I tell you, one of your town hall meetings, you got to have it at the senior center because, and you got to wear an apron because you can't, Commander, that's exactly right. Yeah. All right. They love it when he comes down there and helps serve lunch. All right.
Nothing for me.
Okay, Mr. Trilch?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Only thing I wanted to mention tonight is just a reminder to everybody who may want some more information about PPRTA and the potential ballot question. It's on our city's website, right at the top of the page. There is a portlet there, a little banner that says click for more information on PPRTA. Todd and his team have put together a very good, a very comprehensive packet that explains what is PPRTA, what is the question at hand. A lot of information in there as well. We still have all of the survey results from the survey we did last year, including all of the citizen comments. It's all right there at the top of the website, as well as some information about the hybrid town hall meeting that we're going to have next week. And the link to that meeting, if you want to register hybrid and do it virtually, is also on the website. I just checked it actually, and kind of rare, that website actually appears to be down at the moment, and that's a pretty rare event, but it'll come back up. And so a lot of information's there. So if you're curious and want more information about PPRTA, I'd encourage you to come to the city's website. That's all I have. Thank you.
And if people want information about how RTA has been working for the past many, many years that we have not been part of it, you can go to the Pikes Peak Area Council government website, and there's a link there and gives you all the information about RTA and what they've done. Okay, anybody else from staff? Mr. Blankenship?
Thank you, Mayor. This morning we had a contractor working in the vicinity of Rustique and Comanche sever a 12-inch water line. Until we were able to isolate that break, it really impacted a lot of people uphill, including our city attorney, who was stranded in the shower. I think he looks remarkably well for only having a partial shower today.
A little bit of too much information there.
Yeah, but good news is we were able to, oh, I'm sorry. But we were able to isolate that and get most of the customers. There were 5 customers who were out for the vast majority of today, but we were able to get that restored and back up and operational about an hour and a half ago. So everybody's back in business. So we appreciate those customers, their patience with us as we took care of that problem today.
Utilities has had a tough couple weeks.
Yeah, that wasn't the
Yeah.
only situation we had today, but that was the biggest one.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
lightning
the weather
strike
hasn't
right on
been
a
too
power
kind to
pole
us,
and-
absolutely not.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing it, Taylor's doing a great job, because
Thank
they've
you very
been working a
much.
lot of extra hours, so thank you very much.
Definitely the boots on the ground, the folks that are out there day in and day out that are making these things happen, certainly.
And a good lesson why to have a few extra gallons of water in your house. You never know, right?
Doesn't hurt.
Right. So, Ms. Huffman?
Thank you. Just 2 quick items. I did want to make council aware that I will be requesting an executive session tonight. And the second good news is petitions are available to be picked up in my office for the 2 at-large positions and Ward 2 position. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. IT, anything back there?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. So that takes us to up here to the dais. I'm going to start to my left tonight with Councilmember Rick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just 2 quick shout outs. First to the police department. This Sunday they had a traffic accident that broke a gas line. They not only responded to it, but they got it out on Facebook so that people would know to avoid that area. So thank you for doing that. And then shout out to the utility department. We did have a power outage out on REA Road. They were able to get that resolved quickly and get the homeowners back online. So thanks to the utility department for that. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Corey.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hinton.
Yeah, just a quick shout out to everybody who is working out on the roads. There's a lot of construction happening in the city of Fountain. Please be patient. We're doing our best just to kind of get through it expeditiously and making sure that our city looks beautiful and we got things kind of going on. So I appreciate all the hard work that Bob and his team are doing, the utilities, everybody. So just kudos to them and just be safe to our construction workers out there.
Thank you. Councilmember Hinton. Estes.
A couple things. First, I was able to attend the new teacher orientation picnic with the PD, and big shout out to Sergeant Sanchez and Lieutenant Mallet. Your SROs are top notch, and to see them and how the school really respects you guys and how you interact there is just such a great job, and I really believe that we are the best in the nation at this. A special shout out to Sergeant Sanchez in his help and the students helping them get the vaping ordinance adjusted there. His leadership there was very helpful. The next one, we had the tragedy, I guess was a week and a half ago, so that was in my neighborhood, and we all know that there was a murder, and it was domestic violence related. And so I want to shout out to everybody that if you're in this situation, there are resources out there. You can call Tessa at their safe line is 719-633-3819, and reach out to them. We don't want to have tragedies like this in our community anymore, and we really would like, if you need help, reach out. There's resources. Our Beacon team with the police department, they have resources for you. And a big shout out to our PIO with the police department for putting that information for Tessa on our public announcement of the tragedy. I really appreciate that. And along that same line, I want to give kudos to Councilmember Duncan for hosting this coming Saturday, a town hall meeting on mental health and domestic violence in our community. And that meeting will be at the library at 1 o'clock this Saturday. It's a panel discussion on this. And I strongly encourage anybody that doesn't want these kind of tragedies to happen in our community to please come, listen, participate, try to help us out in this community. So just thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Councilmember Applegate?
Yeah, just on the 21st, I'll be attending a meeting with the ESA, and we will be voting to abolish the ESA, and that'll be closing out, so there won't be any more. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Duncan?
We know that here in Fountain that we have a lot of community leaders, and our community leaders outside of council, they get things done. They're the unofficial community leaders. And so we have a leader, a community leader who is very boisterous in our community, but he is also one that helps us a lot in our community. His name is Al Linder. We all know him. He is out there. I'm riding in the mornings. He's out there very early in the morning. We've had a lot of rain. He's cutting the grass. And I just want to give a shout out to him. If you see him out there riding through on his tractor and he's cutting the grass, shoot him a horn and wave at him and say hi and thank you, right? Because he doesn't have to do that, but he cares a very lot about Fountain, about our community, and he'd do anything for our community. So I just want to give him a shout out because mosquitoes are out there, there's snakes out there, and the grass being cut just makes Fountain look really well. So I just want to give him a shout out on that. I talked about our speeder or not stopping on the signs. So they did have on Facebook that you can drop off unwanted paint cans on Saturday, August 12th, from 9 to 2. So that's before you come to the panel. So you can drop them off at Sand Creek High School, and that is 7005 North Carefree Circle, and that's in Colorado Springs, and the zip is 80922. So if you have unwanted paint cans, you can drop those off there. I also attended the Welcome Back to School at Fountain Fort Carson. That was awesome. I felt like I was in high school myself, and I was getting ready the energy in that room and the program that they had to welcome back the teachers. I thought, this is awesome. I mean, I I just can't explain how happy they were to welcome you. You come in, the band was playing, they had the cheerleaders and the basketball, and you got greeted. It was just a really awesome, and they had a great breakfast. So I was great to be a part of that, and thank you to Fountain Fort Carson and the team that put that together. It was awesome. And yesterday, I got to celebrate with the city of Colorado Springs about the permanent home for Space Command. So shout out to that. A couple of people in this room were there, and it's just great to see. We had Congressman Doug Lamborn there, Senator Michael Bennett. We had Governor Polis, Senator Hickenlooper, among others. It was just a good collaboration to keep Space Command here, and I'm so proud to live here in Colorado. And last but not least, I want to say kudos to Kimberly Bailey. She's not here, but Scott, please let her know. We had the Old Town District Small Business Recognition out here. It was nice. It was a beautiful morning. And I thought, oh my God, this is 8 o'clock, but it was so well worth it to be there. You got to see business leaders. It was a great atmosphere. The sun was, we had great, it was just beautiful. The air was crisp. So thank her for putting that together. It was awesome.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yeah, the Space Command ceremony yesterday was really, really nice, thank you. And Councilmember Hinton and I also went to the National Purple Heart Picnic Award Ceremony. I think there was more Purple Hearts there than I've ever seen before, and so it was a huge event. And they were out there in that heat, they were doing, can you explain the run? Yeah.
So yeah, it was, oh my goodness, right on the spot. So an organization, Team Rubicon, Red, White, and Blue were out, and they did their run, and in between the run, they did 30 burpees. So it was a great event, also carrying the flag, United States flag, and representing all the forces. And then we had another organization there that we had a moment of silence for those that have passed away, whatever service that they served in. And so it was just a good time to be around my fellow veterans and those heroes. We use that term probably too loosely, but those that have served this country and earned that distinction of being a Purple Heart recipient, nobody goes out to earn that award. It is an award that you have to be injured, or unfortunately, sometimes people have lost their life for this country to get that award, and it is something that veterans do every day. They sacrifice their time, their talents, and their life for this country, and to be honored in that way is one of the highest distinctions that this country can give them. So it was just a great experience just to have that and have that tour, and just to learn more about where the Purple Heart comes from and how that was established here in our country. And I also got to meet the mayor, the mayor of Colorado Springs. So he was there, so it was great to talk with him. And it was just a great opportunity for him just to come out and visit. And what a great opportunity for that to happen, and for him to see what is happening here in the city of Fountain. That chapter has been around since 1971. And we need our young folks, those that are Purple Heart recipients, come and join the chapter. And we need you. We need for you to keep pushing that along. So it was great.
Right. And if you qualify for a Purple Heart and you haven't filled out the paperwork, sometimes you're not doing it for yourself, sometimes you're doing it for your family and your community. So that's something super important. So one thing I did that hasn't been mentioned up here, and I appreciate people covering different events for me, thank you, because I caught something, I didn't want to share it. The PPACG, Pikes Peak Area Council of Government, has started their 2050 long-range transportation plan. There's several components to the plan. Some of them are completed, some of them are just getting started. I know we have staff members on the various areas of the plan, but this is the plan that if you're not on the plan, you're not going to get your project done. So it's super, super important. I know, Rosa, you'll probably be on the specialized human transit plan when we get to that part of it. And I believe Kimberly's on the freight study part of it. So super, super important. So we'll get that going. With that, unless anybody has anything else to share, we will move on into public to be heard. Citizens may address council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Only comment I have here is from Ms. Clark. Sally Clark would like to address the council. Hi.
Several of you, a couple of times in the last few days as well. My name is Sally Clark, and I wanted to mention, and I know I passed out my cards to all of you, that I'm actually here in a different capacity. Not that I'm not a volunteer supporter of Homefront Military Network, but I'm here on behalf of Mayor Yemi Mobilati, who is our new Colorado Springs mayor. I joined his new team. He has really, I think, risen up to the level of wanting better communication. And so as that is related to, he's established the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, and that includes 3 people. I'm one of them, and then we have Thomas Thompson and Danielle Summerfield. They are handling neighborhoods and other issues, but my major focus is government and military affairs. So obviously, you're very impacted by both of those. I heard Mr. Traynor, talk about Colorado Municipal League and National League of Cities and the things that go on at the national level. Mayor Yemi, as he is fine with you calling him that, he really wanted me to, I'm starting to reach out to all of the different governments here in El Paso County. And in addition to that, he wants us to move to a different level when it comes to engagement with the city of Colorado Springs. So, it's a new day for us. His focus is, and really his mantra is courage and empathy and humility. But along those lines, he wants to be transparent, accountable, and proactive. And part of the proactive piece is why I'm here tonight, to just basically reach out and let you know that I'm available to you. You obviously can go to him as well. You're elected officials, and certainly that is something, but if you do need something and you think that I can help you with that, he has asked me to also be engaged in some of the community and the boards that some of you may serve on, whether that's the Regional Futures Forum at the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. Appreciate you considering to come into the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. And as a former elected official, I think I understand a lot of what you are going through, but I'm in a new role now, and so the mayor wanted me to come in person and to reach out to you. So he feels very strongly about partnerships, and this is something that we're trying to bring the city of Colorado Springs to a new level, I think, with not only neighborhood engagement, but engagement with our elected officials, as well as being focused on the importance of our military. Any questions that you have for me? And thank you for mentioning that, we were at the Order of the Purple Heart, which I didn't realize was here, and I was a county commissioner for 12 years, so I don't know how that happened, but I was glad to see that, and we certainly don't forget our partners to the south here in Fountain.
Scott?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to offer to Ms. Clark that we would value, especially on the military front, any partnership, and if there's anything we can do to help you, having been involved with a lot of these different groups for a long time, just reach out, we'll let you know what we can do to help you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And certainly any of your department heads, I'm sure you all have relationships with the police chief and fire chief and others, but certainly I'm here as well. So just one more way to get through to the mayor's office if you need to reach someone. I can be that conduit, and I can just also be that support for you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Trilch. Mr. Trilch is our military affairs liaison.
Yep,
so.
we have connected a couple of times in the last few days, so.
Okay.
And of course, thank you for mentioning Space Command and headquarters, and
Right.
hopefully we're off to the races. And
They almost ordered all 4 seasons yesterday during that
yeah,
ceremony.
it was all
We had
in.
rain, sun, wind, we had it all. And a little bit of hail as you're getting out of the car, and yeah. So, yeah, they almost had them all 4 in an hour. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, that is the only card I have for tonight. So we will move on to the consent agenda, item 7. We have items A, B, and C. What would council like to do with the consent agenda? Councilmember Rick?
Move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Councilmember Duncan?
I second.
Okay, is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, that takes us on to item 8, old business. There is no old business. Item 9, new business. Item 8, consideration of items removed from the consent agenda. There were no items removed. Takes us on to item 10, city council agenda requests. City council shall use this time to request any items for future consideration. I'll go ahead and start to my left again tonight. Councilmember Rick.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Corey.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hinton.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Estes.
Nothing this evening.
Councilmember Applegate.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Duncan.
I don't have anything.
Okay, and I don't have anything either. Okay, that takes us on to item, woohoo, we're on a roll now. All right, item 11, announcement of an executive session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council. I'd like to request an executive session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions.
Okay, we have a motion, a request from the city clerk for an executive session. Councilmember Rick.
Move we go into executive session.
Councilmember Duncan.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for executive, any deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
7 yes, motion carried.
All right. I'm adjourning the regular city